Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am barefaced because I'm going to be doing a foundation review for you. I recently did a makeup haul, which I'll link on the screen for you to check it out. I hauled in that a foundation from Kogen Do. This is the Aqua foundation. It has received rave reviews across the internet and I wanted to try it for myself. I have tried it for a couple of weeks now and I thought I could do a review for you. I'm going to demonstrate the product on my face, tell you a little bit about it, and we'll check back in at the end of the day to see how it wears as well. So let's zoom in and we can start on the application. The foundation comes in a glass bottle with a pump, which is very handy. You get 30 mils or 1.01 fluid ounces. It is made in Japan. Kogen Do is a Japanese brand. It did start as a skincare range and then moved into makeup. There are 7 shades in the range, some more cool toned, some more warm toned. I'm using shade number 213, which is supposed to be in the yellow or more warmer range, but this one has a slightly more green or olive base, which is why it often gets referenced and a lot of people particularly go for this color because there isn't that many foundations out there that have that slightly green tone to them. I'm going to start off with one pump, and as you can see it is quite a liquidy formula, very sort of lightweight there. I have sort of NC 20, 25-ish skin at the moment. Sometimes I kind of sway a little bit more to NW20 for reference, and this shade does match me relatively well. I've already moisturized my skin, which is my preference for applying makeup. I tend to not use a primer that regularly, and I find that this foundation does work fine without a primer, but for the science of it, I am going to use the First Base Foundation Primer from Gorgeous Cosmetics just on one side of my face, just to see if it makes much of a difference. I will say that with some of my initial testing, I think that this product works best over like just your natural skin or over a non-silicone heavy primer, purely because I find that with the silicones, for whatever reason, it just sort of makes the product a little bit too slippy, and I find that on me it breaks down much more quickly and can go like a little bit, it breaks apart, particularly around my nose and around oily areas when I use a silicone heavy primer. So just something to keep in mind when you're using this product. Okay, I am going to start off by using my fingers to apply the product. I've found that fingers, for whatever reason, seem to work best, or like a stippling brush with a patting motion. I find that that gives you the best coverage from the product, and it just seems to give you, I guess, the most flawless finish. You never underestimate, oh, got one random hair. Never underestimate the power of your fingers as a makeup application tool. Definitely very, very useful. I also find that I get more from the product, I think maybe because it's so like thin and liquidy, that if I apply it with a sort of thick, quite dense brush like this one, it seems to absorb quite a bit of the product and I need to use more to get more coverage. As you can see, it blends over the skin really, really easily. I find that the shade almost adapts slightly to your skin tone as well. It is supposed to be pore minimizing and give you quite a radiant finish. I think the term that they use is post-facial glow is what you are supposed to get with this product, and it does feel very lightweight on the skin. It's really difficult to even really see it. I have knocked something over. I have a magnifying mirror here in front of me, and even with this sort of first layer of application, you really can hardly sort of see any product on the skin. So definitely with just like normal eyes, unless someone gets right up in your face, they really wouldn't be able to tell that you're even wearing foundation. So that was one pump and I managed to smooth that over the majority of my face. I am going to go in with another half a pump. I find that that's about the amount of product that I need to get to about a medium coverage. If you're looking for full coverage, this is probably not the foundation for you, but if you're happy to go in with a little bit of concealer just to cover up any extra blemishes, then I think you'll get enough coverage out of this foundation. I mean, I have a blemish here and I have some uneven skin tone, and this certainly helps with that. I'm applying a little bit extra around my nose because I have extra redness and discoloration in this area, and this is certainly covering that up. So I'm going to blend a little bit down my neck as well. So upon application, this is how the foundation looks. As you can see, it is very skin-like. It has a slight glow to it. It kind of catches the light when I move my face. I haven't powdered or added any extra concealer yet. I didn't even really need to use that second half a pump. I definitely think that fingers are the way to go if you want to get the most out of your product, because I need to use almost two full pumps when I use a brush. I do think my pores look visibly reduced. I have naturally an oily T-zone and my skin is acne prone, so I find that that generally means enlarged pores all across this area, and these you definitely can't see these anywhere near as bad as you can normally, and my nose is sort of evened out that texture and that color. I have some textural issues, some sort of dry and flakiness right around my nostrils and also a little bit around my mouth, and I find that this is really forgiving with that. It hasn't really picked up on any of those extra flaky bits. It hasn't exacerbated them in any way. You can kind of see the foundation is a little bit more obvious on those areas, but certainly not anything too crazy. And on the rest of my face, you really can't see the product at all. It has a slight like tackiness to it, but really not. It kind of, it's sort of, as it's drying down, it almost goes a little bit liquid to powder in the way that it feels, but it maintains that glowy look. I would say that this shade is maybe a touch light for me at this point. I'm at like the height of my summer tan, so my skin has probably moved up into that NC 25-ish range, whereas I'm usually that NC 20 in MAC shades. It's the best reference I can give you guys. So I think if you are in that shade range, the NC 20 to 25, the shade 213 will work for you. There are slightly darker shades. I would say that maybe the downfall of this is that there aren't very dark shades. So if you have quite dark skin, then you're probably not going to find a shade for you. I haven't tried the lighter shade, so I don't know how light it goes. There may be the same issue at the other end of the spectrum. If you're super pale, the palest shade, the 012, which is a pink based shade, may not be light enough for you. I do believe that the Koh Gen Do website, you can request samples. I don't know whether that's all over the world or only in the US, but you can certainly test it out, and there are many swatch photos online, so I would recommend Googling the product. According to the website, some of the key features of this foundation: it's made with deep sea minerals and botanical emollients and extracts. It's added skin color control factor to reproduce radiance on the skin. 2 new powders, Skin Brightener and Soft Focus Effect powder, gives diffusion to make the skin appear softer and brighter, reflects the light, erases shadows from uneven surfaces, and gives a smoothing effect to pores, integrated with high performance conditioning ingredients that supplement a self-moisturizing property for a long flawless wear. You can finish with a powder for a porcelain finish, which is what I tend to go for, or you can leave it without a powder, which gives you that natural post-facial impression. That's very important. It seems to be a key in all their kind of media surrounding this foundation. It also has a tea tree oil blend to hydrate, provide long and comfortable wear. So the product isn't oil free, and I do think it's kind of geared towards the sort of normal to maybe even dry skin. Maybe severely dry or severely oily might be a little bit too far on each side of the spectrum for this foundation. Like I said, I do have an oily T-zone. I find that generally it lasts quite well for me. Towards the end of the day, sometimes it breaks up a little bit, and we'll see how it goes today in the video. It is formulated without artificial colors, synthetic fragrance, mineral oil derived from petroleum, parabens, and it is not tested on animals, which is all great. The recommended retail price of the product is $62 US. I picked it up in Australia for 65 Australian dollars. I will have links in the description box below to different places that you can buy it depending on where you are. I know that Beautylish sells it, so does the Sephora Australia website. There's a Koh Gen Do website, and it's also available on PM Studio here in Australia, which is where I purchased it from. So I think I've covered all the important facts. Any other extra information will be in the description box below. I'll give you an up close look so you can see how it's currently sitting on my skin. I will finish off the rest of my makeup and then check back in with you guys later. It is currently 9:37 a.m. so we'll see how this wears at the end of the day, and I'll also do a flash test just to make sure that there's no flashback. I don't believe there's any SPF content, but we'll just check that just in case. Hi guys, I'm back. The day is coming to a close. It is currently 5:09 p.m. so like 8 6-ish hours after I applied the foundation. I could leave it longer, but I am about to go to boot camp, so I wanted to update you and finish off this video now. I feel like the foundation has worn overall pretty well. Looking at it up close, I do have like some texture kind of showing through around my mouth. I was at home filming videos today, so I did speak a little bit or a lot, and it's kind of worn away and sort of worn into the lines around my mouth. This is also where I'm driest, and I feel like it's kind of, I don't know, creped up a little bit almost around here, but nothing too terrible and nothing that I'd be sort of about like somebody seeing me or something like that. Other than that, I feel it's held up pretty well. I'm a little bit glowy around the center of my face, but I was to begin with. I did apply a little bit of powder, and then I applied a little bit more later on in the day, just a really light application because I was filming and lights and things just exacerbate any shine, and I didn't want to be too glowy. But I haven't added any extra highlight to my face, and this is just how my skin is looking, which I think is actually quite a nice look to the skin. I can see a little bit of like pigmentation kind of showing through on my chin and on my nose, but other than that, I've still got blush on, I've still got like contour and stuff like that, so my makeup has held out pretty well. In saying that, I wasn't outside like running around working up a sweat. It's like 38 or 39 degrees outside, so it's quite hot, but I spent most of the day, like I said, inside. I did brave the heat briefly, but other than that, I have been sort of relatively calm and not too hot or sweaty. I've been in air conditioning, so that may have helped a little bit with the longevity. Overall, I definitely give this foundation 2 thumbs up. I really do enjoy it. It's not 100% perfect, but it's getting up there. I like the finish. I like the coverage that it gives. I think that in terms of who this would work for, if you have normal combination, slightly dry skin, even if you're a touch oily in the T-zone, I still think you can get away with this. People who I think it won't work for is if you're like constantly producing oils, if you have maybe teenage skin, if you are looking for a lot of coverage. Like I said, this was only medium, so it's probably not going to be the right one for you. If you are very, very oily and like a completely matte finish, this foundation probably isn't going to be for you, particularly if you're looking for something that's going to be really long wearing, because I do find, like I said, that this has moved a little bit on me, and I think if I was oilier, it probably would have moved even more. I think this would work for both young and older skin. I think if you're mature, this one is probably going to be relatively forgiving to fine lines. It does smooth out my pores, so I feel like it would work okay with skin that has a little bit more texture. But if you are on the completely dry side, you may need to add like a moisturizer or something underneath, because like I said, it has kind of worn a little bit funny on those areas where I do have a little bit of flaking, but not so terribly that I'd say stay away from it completely. Just prepare your skin, make sure you've prepped it to the best of to the best it can be, and then you're going to get the most out of this foundation. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to comment on. I think it's a really nice foundation, and I can see why so many people like it. The only thing that may sort of let it down is the shade range. It is kind of limited. I did quickly grab the box to check out the ingredients because there is some oils in it. There is titanium dioxide, which is actually the 3rd highest ingredient on the list, so I would actually be wary of flashback. Even though I didn't notice it too much, that does make me think that there is a possibility of flashback. Trying to see if I can see any alcohol. I can't, but that's not to say it's not there. I do think that this would be potentially okay if you do have sensitive skin, but like with anything, make sure that you test it. If you do want to try it out, definitely look up some more reviews. How something works for me isn't necessarily how it's going to work for somebody else. But I hope my experiences have been helpful for you if you've been trying to decide whether you want to try out the foundation or not. I'm going to go. I hope you guys are all doing really well. Check out the description box for all extra information, all my social media links, all that fun stuff. And other than that, my name is Rachel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!